I'm Jeff Bambrick with the Washington Lacrosse Officials Association, and this is a presentation on warding off. This presentation is part of our monthly series of ongoing education that we deliver for all of the referees in the state. In this presentation, we're going to take a look at the rule book definition of warding off, including the 2018 memo from the U.S. Lacrosse Association that kind of made a little bit of change to the definition of warding off. As with all of our presentations, we're going to start out with the short video clip of a lacrosse game, and you're the referee. You got to make the call. Would you blow your whistle and call a warding off foul in this situation? So what do you think? You heard the whistle blow? What was the call? Was there a warding call on that? Let's take a look at it again one more time in real time. So what do you think, Mr. Referee? I heard the whistle blow. What call are you making? Is this a warding off? Are the parents going to yell at you? Is the coach going to lose his mind? What call do you make? I'm going to let you watch it now in slow motion. Of course, during a game, you don't get a slow motion rewind, but it's still not that clear there, is it? In this situation, the referee actually made the warding off call with the change of possession and gave the ball to White. I'm pretty sure the player in the black jersey did not agree with that call, and if you watch the clip again, let's see how he really feels about it.
Oh, geez, Matthew.
So yes, in this situation, it looks like Matthew did not agree with that call, and he decided to take it out on the other player. As for what you would call Matthew on after that hit, that's a whole nother discussion. So was the referee correct in making a warding off call? Let's take a look at the U.S. Lacrosse presentation on warding, and then we'll go back to that video clip and see if we think he made the right call.
The U.S. Lacrosse Officials Development Program presents Technical Fouls, Warding Off. In this video, we define warding off under NFHS rules and how to anticipate, recognize, and call this foul. Warding is defined as a player in possession of the ball shall not use his free hand or arm or any other part of his body to hold, push, or control the direction of the movement of the cross or body of the player applying the check. A player in possession of the ball may protect his cross with his hand, arm, or other part of his body when his opponent makes a play to check his cross. In February of 2018, the NFHS posted a memo clarifying how officials are expected to call warding off. First, a ward is not to be called on a player with two hands on his cross. Second, a bull dodge, lowering the shoulder, could be considered unnecessary roughness if the official judges the contact was excessive or unnecessary. Third, a spear should be penalized with a minimum time of 2 minutes non-releasable. Finally, if the body contact is judged as legal, the offensive player shall not be called for a ward. To unpack the definition and the clarifications in the memo, we will look at several different clips that illustrate warding off, legal body contact, and spearing. In this clip, pay attention to the red player as he clears the ball. He takes his bottom hand off of his cross and uses it to shove his opponent to the ground. Watching in slow motion, this ward can be seen even more clearly. The whistle should be blown immediately and the ball awarded to the white team. In contrast to the first clip, watch blue gain possession of a loose ball and begin to clear. He lowers his shoulder into his opponent, but both hands remain on his cross and the contact is not excessive. As you watch in slow motion, you can more easily see that the blue player uses his forearm to direct the movement of his opponent. Since blue kept two hands on his cross, this contact is legal, and the officials correctly allow play to continue.
Okay, guys, I'm going to pause it right here and add a little bit of comment because this generates a lot of confusion and coaches go crazy on this one. So if you look at this picture, he's clearly using his arm or any part of his body to create space. He's clearly using his elbow and his forearm to push the other guy away. So under the previous rules, yes, this is warding off even though he's got two hands on his stick. However, in the 2018 memo, it now clearly states you cannot call a ward if he's got two hands on his stick. So what you're looking at right there is not a ward. That's totally legal. He's got two hands on his stick and he's creating space. That is legal now. And this causes a lot of problems, especially with the coaches, because you can see what looks like a ward and they do not know about the 2018 memo. So this is a great opportunity to educate your coaches, preferably during a dead ball time, and let them know, hey coach, if he's got two hands on his stick, I can't call a ward. There is other stuff you can call, and they're going to talk about that next.
In this next clip, we see the white player with possession just below the midfield line. He lowers his shoulder, takes his bottom hand off of his cross, and shoves his opponent. The correct call is an immediate whistle for warding off, the ball turned over to purple, and a quick restart. Here, blue is on offense, and number 33 gets possession of the ball above the attack box. He drives into the defender and shoves him away, but he keeps two hands on his cross. Watch again in slow motion and see how the body contact between the ball carrier and his defender is completely legal.
Okay, I hope everybody got that. If the player has two hands on his stick, you can't make the warding call. You can make other calls, and this is kind of becoming a popular thing, especially at the older ages. You got a big, strong midi. He's running down the field, and there's somebody there waiting for him, and he decides to go right through him. So now they're going to go into the bull dodge, talk about lowering the shoulder and lowering the head. And this is a safety emphasis, so I really want you to pay attention on this.
Now that we established the fundamental differences between warding and not warding, let's look at the bull dodge more closely, starting with a rulebook situation on unnecessary roughness. Rule 593, Situation E states, A1 with possession of the ball advances towards stationary defender B1 and with a bull dodge runs over B1. Ruling: unnecessary roughness if A1's actions were deliberate and excessively violent. This means that a bull dodge may be legal if the official judges that the offensive player's actions were not deliberate and were not excessively violent. Let's look at a few situations to better understand the difference between legal and illegal bull dodges. In this clip, Brown has possession and he goes against a defender from the wing. He keeps two hands on his cross and continues to press his body against the defender in order to establish a better position to shoot from. His head remains up the entire time, and he successfully uses his body and superior athleticism to maneuver his opponent. This is a good example of a legal bull dodge. Here, the white player gains possession below goal line extended. He uses a legal bull dodge against his opponent to get inside and above the goal. Watch again from another angle and see that even while white dips his helmet slightly, there is no contact with his helmet to his opponent. This is legal body contact by the offensive player in possession of the ball with two hands on his cross. Now let's examine illegal bull dodges and spearing. In this clip, the white player has possession of the ball near midfield. He runs toward a blue defender, lowers his helmet, takes his bottom hand off of his cross, and runs over the defender. Because the body check was excessive and because the offensive player lowers his helmet into the defender, he should be assessed a minimum penalty of 2 minutes non-releasable. Pay attention to the blue player clearing the ball. He gets past two defenders and approaches a stationary defender near the midfield line. He then lowers his helmet and shoulder into the defender, knocking him over. Watch again in slow motion and you can clearly see the helmet-to-helmet contact. Under NFHS rules, play should be stopped immediately, and the blue player assessed a minimum penalty of 2 minutes non-releasable for spearing. Also, the helmet contact is not incidental. This is a deliberate and excessively violent body check using the helmet that must be called.
All right, gentlemen, we're now down to the point of the presentation. This is a player safety issue. This has become really popular, especially in the South Sound. You get a big, strong midi, you get a big D-pole that finally picks up a ground ball, and they're going to run straight down the middle of the field and take out anybody in their path, and everyone on the sidelines go crazy and they think it awesome. It's really not safe, guys. We gotta call this. If you have a stationary defender and the guy with the ball lowers his shoulder and his helmet and he uses more force than necessary to just create space, if he's trying to light the kid up, that is an unnecessary roughness. If he lowers his head and he's making contact with the helmet, that's a totally different foul now. Now we're starting to move into spearing. It can be a 2-minute full time, let's lock him up in the box, non-releasable. So I really want you guys to try to watch this spring. If you got a guy with the ball and he's just plowing through people, is he lowering his helmet? Is he using more force than necessary? And please, please, please remember, this is an age-appropriate call. What you guys might do in high school is definitely not going to be allowed if the kid's only 11. And I see this all the time at the younger ages. You got a kid that's a little bigger and a little older, and he just starts plowing through kids. As long as he's keeping his head up and he's just generating space, that's fine. That's great. He's a big athlete. However, as soon as they start to lower that helmet, or if they're using more force than you think is necessary, that's when you got to make the call, guys. We got to throw that flag and immediately call it. And if they lower that helmet, guys, let's lock them up for 2 or even 3. If it looks like it's more force than is necessary or it's unsafe for that age, you got to throw the flag and lock them up. Let's go ahead and finish up with the U.S. lacrosse video. They have a great example of what some people would get excited and call a ward, but if you watch carefully, it's not.
Finally, we look at one clip that many believe is a ward, but is actually a legal technique. Here, the white team is on offense and a player receives a pass from his teammate inside the box. The defender poke checks and gets the head of his cross underneath White's arm. White takes his bottom hand off of his cross, never touches the blue defender's body or cross with his free arm, and reestablishes contact with his own cross. The officials correctly allow play to continue, as the white player does not disadvantage the blue player with his free arm.
Okay, I think we covered what a ward is and what a ward is not. Please remember the 2018 update, which states that if they have 2 hands on their stick, you can't call a ward. You can call unnecessary roughness, you can call spearing, but you can't call a ward if they have 2 hands on their stick, even if it looks like a ward. So let's go back to our first video. I'll let you watch it again, and you make the call. So what do you think? Did you make the ward call? This is kind of a tricky one. Even in slow motion, is he using that free arm to create space? It kind of looked like he did. Did you also catch the white player actually slashed him on the helmet at the same time? So this is obviously older kids, some physical play. That's a tough call. It's a judgment call. Did he use his free hand to create space, or was he just absorbing a check? On the replay, it looks like to me that he was using his left hand to create space from the defender. I would probably call that a ward. However, in real time, that's a little harder to make that call. However, after the referee blew the whistle and made the warding call, you see the kid slam the ball down on the ground. I don't appreciate that. You can either call unsportsmanlike, a delay a game. Either way, you can let that kid know that is not tolerated. In fact, this is a great opportunity to slow the game down, to let that kid try to get his emotions under control. if you talk to the kid, said, hey, settle down, don't throw the ball on the ground, I'm going to flag you next time, maybe he wouldn't have gone off 20 seconds later and clobbered a kid. All right, let's wrap this up real quick. There is a modification in 2018. You cannot be called for warding if you have two hands on your stick. A lot of coaches might not know that, and they'll be screaming to get a ward call. Relax. Take a deep breath, coach. Let them know that there is a modification to the rule, and you know the rules because you're a trained and paid professional. You can call kids for unnecessary roughness or spearing if they're using more force than is necessary to be able to create space and move the ball. So once again, you got that big midi kid or the big long pole. He's running down the field. As soon as he starts to light kids up, that's too much contact. If it's high school, I get it. You guys are high school players. But let's watch out for the little kids. If you got a big monster and he's knocking kids over, don't let him do it. Control the game. Take that stuff out of the game. Let's keep the kids safe. Thanks for taking the time to get better at your job. I appreciate what you do. This is Jeff Ambrick from WALOA, and I'll see you on the field.